Let's face it, politics is an absolute joke. I'm Matt Richardson, and I've always suspected that literally anyone could do a better job of running the country than the clowns in Westminster. So I decided to put it to the test. Each week I sit down with a special guest who's suddenly and unexpectedly been elected Prime Minister and advise them on 3 policies they think will transform the country. Welcome to I Am Prime Minister. It is my honour to introduce our brand new Prime Minister. Prior to running for election, he was best known as a writer, model and presenter. He featured in campaigns for Dolce & Gabbana, as well as writing about fashion for the Sunday Times, Italian Vogue and GQ. He's the founder of the Queer Bible, a website focusing on the work and lives of LGBTQIA people around the world. And now he's answered the call and is running the country. Please welcome Prime Minister Jack Guinness.
Oh, I already feel a little drunk with power.
You know what? I'm not surprised. Of all the people I think you would really take to this.
Right, yeah. Just be careful what you wish for, basically. I would warn your listeners. And I went to Cambridge University, and lots of people I went to uni with are now in government.
Really?
Yeah, and I just didn't take life seriously at all. So maybe if I had gone left instead of right, I would actually be the real Prime Minister.
Can you remember anyone specifically that ended up in Parliament?
Wes Streeting.
No way.
Yeah. He was in my college.
Wow. What do you remember about him?
I remember that he definitely thought he was going to end up in government. But,
oh, really?
But none of us did. And here we are.
That's like going, I'm going to sell out Wembley Arena. Like you go, yeah, whatever, Wes. Come on.
Wes, come off it. And now he is. He's health secretary and he's waiting in the wings.
Also, I suppose back then, a gay working class man from East London, that wasn't a recipe for political success, was it? It's sort of things have changed in the positive sense there.
Times have changed. Yeah, some people would say that they wish that positive change hadn't happened, but I'm not in that camp.
Okay. Look, you're now Prime Minister. We now need to go through some policies with you to work out what we are pitching to the nation after your victory. Can we have your first policy, please, Prime Minister?
Okay, so people of England, people of the United Kingdom, I should rather say. Damn it, I fell at the first hurdle there. I forgot 3 other countries. People of the United Kingdom, my first policy, yes, does sound a little fascistic. Potentially, maybe a little right-wing. I am a proud woke politician, but my first policy is focused on deportation, and it is deporting anyone that voted Leave in the Brexit referendum.
Amazing. So leave means leave, but
for
they
them
have to leave.
But they have to go.
Yep, I think we can sell this quite easily. A lot of the people who voted Leave are now dead. So God. It's been 9 years. I think a big chunk of them. So this would be fairly popular. And also, I think they're the same people that quite often go, if you don't like it here and how it is, leave. So you go, all right, you didn't like it, fuck off then.
But I'm not cruel. I'm not gonna, it sounds quite draconian what I'm presenting, but I'll make them like a kind of theme park of kind of 1950s England, or what they perceived it to have been. I'm going to give them like picket fences. Think a Hovis advert.
Yes.
But just filled with kind of racists.
So you're going to build the England that never really existed, but they think existed.
Well, yeah, and they all go, oh, I remember back in the day. And it's like, no, like the United Kingdom has always been a multicultural place, like going back thousands of years. Yeah. We're an island, and the beauty of our culture, everything about us comes from our strength in bringing in other cultures and growing as one. So this kind of old England that they all talk about has never existed. It's like a kind of weird reform wet dream that should stay as such.
A reform wet dream is one of the most disgusting things.
What do you think is in a reform wet dream? I think Maggie Thatcher's there.
Oh, Maggie Thatcher. Maggie Thatcher naked on the end of a bed is exactly... And I think she's probably got her pubic hair coiffed as well.
Please not. So my dad is a vicar, and I'm really coming out with it today. You're going to learn things you never knew about me. So my dad's a vicar, and he was a vicar of a really cool church in South London in the 80s, which was brilliant. But then he got moved to Belgravia, and he became Margaret Thatcher's vicar.
No way.
Yeah, and she lived on this really posh square, and my voice is going a bit posh now as I'm saying it. Lived on this really posh square, and she would kind of come out flanked by security and get into a car and be driven on the rare occasions that she went to church. She never went, ever.
Of course not.
She was not a church-going woman. It was all smoke and mirrors. And she waved at me once. And I remember being a child, and even then, knowing that I didn't like her, but as intoxicated with fame and celebrity as I always have been from a young age, I got very high and just waved back and skipped off with my little camp skip, feeling like I'd had some kind of, I guess, Tory light shone on me.
Yeah. Well, you weren't tempted to go to the light because you'd seen Maggie Thatcher?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, fair enough.
But I feel that the old Conservative Party was quite alluring for a certain type of privileged white homosexual.
Yeah, there is this weird, like, I know a guy who used to do stand-up called Andrew Doyle. Now, Andrew Doyle, I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he is now on GB News. He's very right-wing, but is kind of like a very open gay man. And I think, what is the appeal there?
I feel like there is a weird thing there, isn't it? And I see this with people from marginalised groups cozying up to kind of fascistic power. I think it's the feeling of like becoming friends with the school bully.
Yeah.
I think it's that kind of vibe. And I've met proper like right-wing people, right? And I know that they hate you. They don't want you
They
in their
feel like
gang.
they're special, don't they? It's like, well, no, but I'm with them, so they will leave me alone, right?
And they don't realise they're being used as a human shield.
Yeah.
And it's
I
gross.
would say as well, I bet Grindr on this island would be popping off.
Grindr would be insane. Have you heard stories about like when the Republican Party have any kind of big event, Grindr like breaks down?
Yep, it crashes every single time.
And I think it's a mixture of the bad gays, and there are some. I hold my hand up. There are bad gays, and then it's the creepy school bully that's secretly gay.
Oh,
And
yeah.
there's a lot of that.
You show me a hate preacher, I'll show you a man with a lovely Grindr profile.
Right, it happens all the time.
All
Right-wing
the time.
preachers are always getting uncovered for going on Grindr or ending up being worse.
So, but they can't have any of this. Anything that's like sort of left wing and sort of progressive, they're not allowed on this island. So we're going to do it, and this is just pure revenge.
They have to do old-fashioned Grindr, which I think was known as cottaging.
So
And
we're
they'll
on the
like
island.
that. They'll like that because cottaging sounds quite oldie-worldy, doesn't it? They'll love that. They can call it thatched cottaging if they want to, the
Lovely.
dirty perverts.
Thatcher cottaging.
Oh, this is great.
We're
Thatcher
lovely.
cottaging.
No, you're saying like this, an island that kind of reminds you of old England in the 1950s. I'm just going to say it. They can all move to Jersey. Jersey is already like that.
It's ready. It's ready. It's ready to go.
It's full of right-wing people who have got too much money and don't want anyone to have it. Are we going to have another referendum before this so they can change their mind?
No.
Or is this based on how you voted last time?
No, absolutely. It's locked in. It's like a quiz show. Is that your final answer? Yes. They're gone. They don't want us to get another referendum, so they're not allowed one. It's just we'll go back. We'll find out who voted for them in the dinghies. Off they go.
Lovely. I think this is an absolutely perfect policy.
Thank you.
I like this. I think people are going to like it. Apparently, since 2019, according to The Economist, 2/3 of the people that have died were Leave voters.
That's insane.
Yeah.
2/3.
So if it was another referendum now, obviously, 9 years worth of people have come to age to vote, it would probably be a very different answer now.
So do we think that it would definitely go Remain?
I think it probably would. And especially because it's been such a mess, I would be surprised if it didn't.
I just don't understand why we're not allowed a referendum. And another thing that I've noticed is, everyone's like, we're never going back in the customs union. We're never going back in the customs union. When it was being debated on TV, the one thing that Leave always said is, don't worry, we won't leave the customs union. So that's one thing that we never voted for. And now they make out that everyone did. And it was supposed to be an advisory vote anyway.
What really winds me up, and this is getting a bit like political nerdy, is the lack of growth. What we were expected to grow and what we haven't. If we'd have stayed in the EU, the number's basically the same of how much we would have grown to what. But what the problem is, they're going, we need growth, we need to build things, we need to.
Oh, you're talking about the gap in our finances.
The gap
is
in our
exactly
finances
the
is
same as
roughly
what
the
it.
same.
Yeah,
Yeah,
of
there's
the
loss
benefit of if we'd stayed in, and everyone's
no
like,
one's saying it. No. Keir Starmer should just go, you know what? We need to go into the customs union, and that would actually fix pretty much most of our problems.
and like, can't we be like Denmark? I never thought I'd say this,
Yeah,
but
I
can't
love
we be like Denmark?
Yeah, let's be like Denmark. That
Are
would be
Denmark
really
in?
nice. Yeah,
feel like
Denmark are in. Yeah, Denmark are in.
What's the country? There's a country.
Norway.
Norway. That's it. I'm so
Yeah,
sorry for
they're
being
in the
Scandinavian.
yeah, they're all the same. They're all
Oh
a
God,
version of white. It's not racist if they're whiter than us.
Okay, yeah, that's fair enough. So Norway, I want a Norway.
Yeah, let's be Norway. I would love to be
Fix.
Norway. And they're all beautiful.
They are all beautiful. They're not sexy though. I find that Norwegians to me are perfect looking, and I'm really sounding like a Nazi now, but Norwegians to me are like that beautiful, sexy cousin.
That's the bit I'm going to get clipped.
I know.
I'm sounding like a Nazi now, and they're just really going on about how beautiful they are.
Yeah, so Norwegians, Scandinavians as a whole, I often find very beautiful aesthetically, but they're like that cousin that you know is attractive, but you just don't really fancy them because you know you're kind of related to them.
Yeah, it's because they don't need to have any chat. So I have done gigs over there, and they love, like, I don't look as good as any of the men there, but the Norwegian people want to, like, I met a Norwegian girl once and had a little thing with her, and she's like, my God, you're funny. No one's funny in Norway. I'm like, of course you're not. You don't need to be funny. Look at you.
So look at the flip side. Are you saying that you developed a sense of humour because you don't think you're as attractive as Norwegian people?
Yeah, exactly. You develop a personality, don't you? Because you're a bit awkward and weird, and they're not. They are perfect statues of people. So why do you need a personality?
They never develop the old personality.
No, they don't need one. Can we have your next policy, please, Prime Minister?
My next policy is banning mobile phones in clubs and restaurants. Maybe nightlife, all-encompassing.
Interesting. So this is just a nightlife social thing rather than...
Yeah, I think I will let the population keep using mobile phones in the day. Right? Yeah. It turns out I'm kind of a dictator of a prime minister. I don't really care if people like
you're
these
really
policies.
taking away a lot of freedoms. But I think this is a good thing. I think mobile phones are ruining everything.
Everything? Like, I feel that they were created by people like Steve Jobs, right? And dare I say it, kind of like tech nerds have tried to find ways for us to connect more, but they've disconnected us and they've turned us inward looking. Like, I was lying in bed with my boyfriend the other night and we were just on our phones lying next to each other. Like, it was sad. And then he'd show me the odd dog meme and I'd just lie there staring off into the darkness thinking, I want out of this relationship. And then I thought, no, it's not just this relationship. It's the hold that cellular modern technology has on me. And have you ever been out of restaurants and you've just seen a couple just sat there on their phones, not talking to each other?
Yeah, but you know what?
Do you do that?
No. If we go out for dinner, definitely not. But I've been on holiday for 2 weeks and run out of things to talk about to Sam too. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like 10 days in when you've spent all day, every day with each other, I think
Well,
then
so-
you are like, let's just have some phone time, shall we? So what you're suggesting here is a curfew.
Yes.
So what are we looking at here? Are we looking at maybe, I suppose, work hours? Or is there you get a couple of hours after work and then all phones are switched off automatically by us at a certain point in the evening?
Okay, I had not thought any of this through. This is great. You're my
I'm your spad.
Yeah, you're my spad man. So I want people to have a bit of fun on their phones after work. I think maybe they could even get turned on again in the late hours. Because that's when people start doing weird things on their phone, and I don't want to stop that. I find that quite fun.
Fine.
That's when lives get ruined, but in a good way, in a fun way. My main issue is I think it should be venue dependent, right? So you go into a space, your phone goes off, you leave, and I want people to be safe. I want them to be able to call their friends and get Ubers and stuff. So they go in, it's off. The main one is clubbing. Have you seen? I'm older than you. Have you, like, in the olden days, right? Back in the 1950s, when I would go to a crazy rave or Fabric,
and you'd have to ask in sort of code, is this a Nancy boy rave?
Yes, exactly. And I do my little gay wink and just try and find out, are there going to be other men of a certain persuasion here? And everyone would just be dancing or trying to cop off or watching the DJ, or some people, they may be a bit worse for wear, would just be in their own little world, dancing on the spot, staring at the wall. All fine, no judgment. Now you go to a gig, and it's just everyone is videoing the DJ.
Oh my God.
It's a sea of phones, and at gigs as well, a sea of phones. No one's
You're never
connecting to
gonna
it. You're
fucking
not getting
watch
good
it again.
footage.
You're never going to watch it. Every time I go and see a band, for example, I always think, when are you going to go? I tell you what I need to watch, a terrible video with you screaming over the top of it of a band playing a song live. Absolutely not. No. The problem is, though, is I do get drunk at these things and go, I'm going to film this and like send it to a person or something. And I have then watched a gig more than I should through my screen. I find it really frustrating when I am gigging. Quite often you'll be, say if you're doing a bit, someone all of a sudden starts to film you. And I go, you can find this online. Like, I put out videos professionally filmed of me doing stand-up. You don't need to film this.
They don't look that professional, Matt. I've seen your feed, but...
Yeah, I know. The clubs don't have great cameras.
Do you mind people filming you? Like, I'd hate that.
I don't. It doesn't bother me because I think if you then stop and... Especially if the gig is going fine, right? If you're having a good gig. I don't like it if I'm doing like a new material night and I'm trying to work something out. Because sometimes as well, you go, I've got this idea and it's about something a bit controversial and I need to work it out on stage to work out how to do it and not be offensive. And if someone films that, it can be misconstrued, whatever. That would annoy me. But I think this is becoming more of a thing now. Like, obviously Berghain, you're not allowed your phone in Berghain. Have you ever been to Berghain?
I have, actually.
Oh my God, amazing.
I've got a terrible Berghain story.
Please do share. For those that don't know, Berghain is a club in Berlin. You have to queue up for like 3 hours to get in. There's a strict dress policy. You're not even allowed on your phone in the queue, are you? Otherwise, they'll kick you out of the queue. And you get to the front, and the man who runs the door just goes, no, yes, no. If you get turned away, that's it for your evening. You're done.
And it's seemingly arbitrary because some people get in that you wouldn't imagine they would. I think he just is maybe like some kind of clubbing spiritual empath, and he stares into your soul or where your soul should be, and then lets you in accordingly.
And is it correct to say, so there are parts of Berghain that are fairly normal, club-ish, and then there are rooms that get progressively more kinky and unusual and wild?
Kinky and wild are what it would be if it was a British club.
Right.
I would say like disgusting.
Really? So tell us your Berghain story then.
So my Berghain story was...
You might be the first Prime Minister to have ever been to Berghain, actually.
Right, here we are. Well, I'm not your grandparents' Prime Minister. I'm a cool Prime Minister. I was in Berghain and we lost one of my friends and we looked for her and she was above a cage on the dance floor getting very friendly with a man above the crowd. Incredibly friendly.
Okay, interesting.
And then my other friend copped off with someone and went home with him back to where we were staying. And I thought, I've just got a funny feeling about this. I'm just going to go and check. So I followed them back. And then they were having fun in the bedroom. And then at one point I just heard her screaming. And I realised the sun had come up. And the guy she thought she'd taken home from Berghain in the light of day wasn't the same guy. And she ran out just screaming, he's got no teeth, he's got no teeth.
Would she not have known when she was like kissing him? Like, would you not know?
Well, I think
maybe
this is gummy. This is a gummy kiss.
Mate,
and
that's
look,
disgusting.
And some people don't have teeth. That's fine. There's no shame in it. But it was the fact that it's kind of like that thing, isn't it? At the club, if you're making out with someone and the lights come on, and you're a bit like, oh gosh, and it's more me. I'm more like, don't look at me under these harsh lights. It was like that times a million. But
oh my goodness,
genuinely, you can go to Berghain, and I had a very normal night there. Like it is just super fun, and they do this thing where they have all the like blinds, right, to let the light in. And at one point, they'll just open the blinds and the whole dance floor gets lit up with sunshine and everyone screams and cheers, and then they close them again. And they do that kind of every couple of hours. It's unlike anything else.
Yeah.
It's the opposite of our reform island where we're sending everyone to. It's just completely inclusive. You'll see, it teaches you also a lot about judgment because you'll see someone that like looks terrifying, like a giant guy wearing some crazy outfit and he'll look really scary, and then he'll just turn around and be the kindest, sweetest person ever.
Oh, lovely.
It's very life affirming.
That is the opposite of Reform Island, where you see a sweet old lady and she's the worst human being you have ever met. So you don't have any photos of this amazing night because you're not allowed your phone. Is the photo thing your issue here, or is it that we're just on them too much?
It's that we're on them too much. And
Okay.
I work in fashion a lot, and I'll go to events where they're influencers, and this annoys me for the younger generation, right? Because you'll look at their Instagram or their TikTok. I think the kids are on that now. On the TikToks, they're taking the TikToks on their phone, and they look like they are the funnest people ever, having the most fun.
They never are they?
And I meet them, and they take a picture, do a video, being like, we're having so much fun, woohoo. And then they put the phone down and they just sit there. And going back to before about you being in Norway and realizing these people were too sexy and hadn't developed a personality, it's a similar thing with some people on their phones, because they've got very good at curating and faking a certain lifestyle and even personality that only operates and exists in a digital space. But because they haven't had to try and make friends in the non-digital space, IRL, if you will, they can't chat. They've got no chat. Whereas for me, going out clubbing, if I wanted to make friends with people, they wouldn't be like, how many followers have you got? Oh, okay, I'll be friends with you. You've got loads. They'd be like, are you funny? And if you were funny, you'd get in the gang. And that kind of development of a personality has slightly been kind of co-opted by the idea that you can have a fake social media personality. And then also just taking you out of the moment. And you said this yourself, Matt, that you do it too. I do it too.
I'm awful for it. I'm terrible with my phone, which is why I need this. I need someone to take the power away from me, because my little dopamine addiction with my phone is off the charts. I think this is a really good idea. There's so many times you go out and you think, yeah, we have a good time, and then you end up just sort of sitting around, or you don't really have anything to talk about, or if you do talk about anything, it's about things online. I think a purging of phones in fun spaces would be good. At the moment, there is a scheme in St Albans where a lot of schools have said there are no phones in school. So you get into school as a teenager or a child, and your phone gets locked into a bag with a magnet, and you can only get it unlocked at the end of the day. So you are not allowed your phone, which encourages them, as well as in the classroom, but it's more about hey, why don't you all socialise with each other and get off social media and enjoy being kids? But I think we need that to be adults as well.
I think about when I was a kid and just how hellish it was at school. And if you added in social media to that, horrendous. It is just terrifying. I think kids should be banned from having phones. I think they should be able to have little flip phones to call up and get a lift if they're in trouble. But I think they should just be banned off phones.
You know what, though? I do genuinely think we've gone too far. The iPhone was...
We've gone too far.
I remember, when I had a Motorola Razr... Life was good. You texted your friends, you didn't have social media, but you could still communicate with people and meet up with people and do everything. We are now at a point where we need to go back to that. I know loads of people that are like, I've gotten rid of my smartphone, although most of the people I know like that have a PA, so...
Right. I have a couple of friends, and I want to be like them and have the Motorola Razr, right? But they then will say to me, oh, can you order me an Uber? Oh, can I just chuck something on Google? So I'm like, oh, you're only able to have an old school phone because everyone else still has modern ones.
Yeah. What was it like before? What did you do at dinner? If there was not much chat, you just sat there in silence, or it forced you to be better?
I would get up and leave.
Really?
Yeah, I'd go shh, 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 just put my finger over their lips, and then I'd just pull my chair out, deliberately making quite a lot of noise. Then I'd move around the back of the chair and push it back in, making a lot of noise. I'd just walk away.
Very good. That is, people need to know they're boring, don't they?
100%.
People need to be told they're boring. I get invited to things because obviously I don't stop talking ever. Quite a lot of people will go, oh, we're bringing the boring person, so Matt, you're going to sit next to them, because I'll just then talk. You're probably the same as this. I just talk at them for the evening, and then it gets solved.
I get sat next to the tricksy, difficult person.
Do you?
Yeah, they'll be like, oh, so-and-so's a nightmare, or... I don't know, my auntie never talks, or so-and-so's a bit evil, and I'll get sat next to them because they're like, oh, he'll be able to handle them, with no thought for my evening.
No. That is, and it's always the people who don't have smartphones, aunties and things like that. I like this a lot. So I think this is, so the way we're going to implement this is space specific.
Yes.
So like there's going to be restaurants, bars, anywhere that is a social space that is for having fun. We are going to bring fun back. So they have phone blockers in the evenings where they just don't work and you have to socialize and we all have to be more present with each other.
Love this.
I think that's quite a good way to increase happiness with relatively little impact on the economy or anything. This policy, I think, will be very popular. Even the people who are on their phones all the time. No one wants to be on it, do they? We're all on it and none of us like it.
I love your utilitarian take on it. This is not
we're
going to impact the economy.
Yeah, we're
it's
good.
going to increase happiness.
Exactly. We are going to go on to your final policy we're going to launch at the start of your premiership. Please tell me your final policy.
My final policy is to implement LGBTQIA plus education embedded in the school curriculum.
Okay, now this is an interesting policy. I've been thinking about it and back to when I went to school, because I went to school a little bit after you, and what there was for queer and LGBTQIA teaching. I don't think there was anything. I don't even think they told us that Alan Turing was gay. Do you know what I mean? Like there was sort of it, even if there are gay people in it, they're not described as such.
Absolutely.
So what is there in the curriculum at the moment? Do you know?
I don't. I need to learn. I know there'd probably be less straight washing of histories, but I do need to educate myself on this. I love that I brought in a policy and I have no idea what the current state is. I know they're different.
That's fine. You don't need to know. You're in charge.
I don't need to know. I'm in charge. I'm the horrible despot. But certainly there isn't like a universal implemented educational component, right? So, and I think this for all underrepresented groups, it's the quickest way to get rid of bullying. It's brilliant for any kid that feels different to know that they're not the first of their kind, that they're descended from a long line of incredible people that have been very brave and have been part of forming the culture and history and civilization. I mean, I grew up under Section 28, which was a conservative policy, probably created by bad gays, and Maggie Thatcher, which meant that you weren't allowed to promote homosexuality in schools. So this basically meant that in a 1984-esque way, no one even mentioned the word because promotion is deliberately kind of woolly. We don't really know what that means. So it meant that homosexuality just wasn't mentioned. And if you were an LGBTQIA teacher, you didn't talk about that. It basically resulted in my generation having no knowledge of any positive representations of queer people. And in the 80s, kind of late 80s into the 90s, the newspapers, it was the height of the AIDS epidemic, all the newspapers, there was so much hate directed at especially gay people. And now we're seeing the same thing happen to trans and non-binary people in the press. And it just made you feel like a piece of shit. It made you think, if I am part of that community, it's the most terrifying thing and I'm going to lead a miserable, terrible life and I'm probably going to die of HIV or AIDS. Like that's what you thought growing up. It was terrifying. And I see young people now and they've got amazing access to social media and there's so much stuff online for young people to connect with each other. And I think that's amazing. But they're seeking it out because they want it. And I think the people that also need this are the people that will potentially be the bullies that won't be seeking out queer history and learning about it. And it's through storytelling, it's through learning other people's like narratives and lives that you can foster empathy. And I'm a big believer in the power of art and history to connect people and break down barriers.
And also, I suppose, with the bullies, as soon as it's like something that is deemed as normal, then it's not something you bully anyone for. You know, like that's the whole thing of it, isn't it? It's other. That's why like bullies like it, is because it's something that is seen as mysterious and weird and dark and over there. So if you brought it in, it would make it much easier. It's the same with things like autism and stuff like that, you know, that all these things that people get picked on. Scotland were the first country in the world to introduce an LGBTQIA history part of the curriculum in 2020, which is absolutely brilliant. If you could add any people to this in your new curriculum that we're going to implement, who would you have people be taught about?
Well, I mean, you can go back really far. There's Hadrian's Wall, Emperor Hadrian. He had lots of same-sex lovers. It's very hard also when going back in history, because the temptation is to put modern definitions of sexuality back on historical figures.
Yeah.
But like Sappho, the lesbian poet, and the history of lesbians in Lesbos. It's not a coincidence.
Yeah.
Especially also indigenous cultures around the world have had such enlightened concepts of gender as well. I think a lot of people I have conversations with seem to think that trans narratives, trans identities and non-binary identities are somehow like newfangled and it's the kids. And these gender expressions that vary from what we perceive to be the norm have existed throughout history, going back to the dawn of civilization. And especially in indigenous cultures, there are more than a binary way of looking at gender. So I think it's also a kind of colonialist idea, isn't it? The idea that like history is written by straight white men and it therefore forcibly erases or hides anything that challenges that patriarchal structure of society, that it should be ruled over by white straight men. So when you get into this history, it ends up challenging and unpacking and freeing so many of the other ideas that we have. And I feel that it would have knock-on effects for misogyny. It would affect toxic masculinity. It would just be so powerful as a mechanism for, yes, realizing that we are different and individual and unique, and that's beautiful, but there is more that kind of connects us than separates us. And when people know that we can have empathy and that we're more alike than not, then it's much harder for right-wing political parties to sow division and hate, because you'd have a population that are like, no, I'm not going to blame the other. I'm not going to blame migrants. I'm not going to demonize trans people. I'm not going to be afraid of the unknown because I'm going to know about it. And then my first policy, which was deporting all the Leave voters, wouldn't be necessary.
I'm going to suggest this, Prime Minister, as well. Maybe as part of this policy, we could introduce an LGBTQIA minister. So you can appoint anyone to be in charge of this. Who would you appoint to be the spokesperson for British?
Do you know, I'm gonna go, great question. I'm gonna go a little bit punk, because I feel that maybe Britain's punk culture has been forgotten about. I'm gonna go with Bimini Bombulash from RuPaul's Drag Race.
Okay, very, very interesting. We'll say things that upset people as well, so that will be good.
Well, you could go two ways, couldn't you? You could go like the acceptable face of
Stephen Fry.
You could go with Stephen Fry.
Yeah,
I mean, do you know what? Should we just do Stephen Fry? Because this is about hearts and minds.
Hey, why don't we give him a job share? Stephen Fry.
This is really good.
And, they can be that kind of double act, good cop, bad cop, boring gay, interesting gay.
I really like this. I was once at a dinner, it's a terrible name drop, with Stephen Fry, and I'd had a few glasses of wine, and he turned to me and he said, well, Jack, the thing about you is, and then he proceeded to describe me in the most prosaic, beautiful, poetic language ever. And as he was doing it, I remember thinking, you have to remember this, you have to remember this, you have to remember this is incredible, you have to remember this. And as soon as he stopped talking, it had gone straight away, because I was a couple of wines deep.
Ugh. What a shame. Let's put him in charge. So him and Bimini can do it together.
They're in charge.
That'd be excellent. We're going to teach all about this. I think it's mad, right? Because I learned about the ancient Greeks and no one went, they used to love sleeping together as well, FYI. Because I remember even as a teenager, having a bit of an experiment and feeling really grim about it. And then going to like an STI clinic and being like stressed about it. And the woman went, everyone is doing it. Just so you know, everyone is shagging each other and touching each other's bits. Why don't you stress about it less?
I mean, I feel kind of interesting about labels, because I think from a political point of view, from a legal point of view, it's very important to have protected labels, right, for different groups, so that we can make sure they're not discriminated against. I think also when you're young and you want to be part of something, it's really empowering to go, oh, that's what I am, and pop a label on yourself. Sometimes I think that labels can be very limiting as well.
Yeah.
And I think especially for young people, if they're experimenting or thinking about who they are, to feel that, oh, I did that, therefore I'm this, can be really overwhelming. And weirdly, Mae Martin, the brilliant comedian, they wrote an essay in my book, The Queer Bible, which is just out now in paperback.
If you want to see more policies, definitely go to The Queer Bible.
And it was all about this. It was about how beautiful it is that we have a language to define ourselves by, but actually it can be quite limiting to have to stick within a box. And isn't it more exciting to think, oh, I'm just Jack, or I'm just Matt, and I may have had this experience or that experience, but I'm just who I am. Yeah. And I think a lot of young people would kind of freak out a lot less if those options were available to them.
See, next time someone asks me if I'm straight or gay, I'm just going to go, I'm ancient Greek. They should put that on forms. Gay, straight, ancient Greek.
And like, I think the Spartans, they had a group of their army that shagged each other.
They encouraged it as a bonding exercise because they thought that if you'd been that intimate with each other, you would protect each other more in war.
Wow. I mean, I would fight.
Which is mad because there's a lot of people I've slept with that I can't even look in the eye. I ignore them in the street. So I don't agree with that necessarily. But, there's people, I've got an ex-girlfriend I lived with and I would not look her in the eye if I saw her.
Let alone fight to the death.
Exactly. Look, these are excellent policies, Prime Minister. I am going to go ahead and try and implement them. I'll get some white papers together we can put towards Parliament. Thank you so much for giving them to me. Jack Guinness, the new Prime Minister, everyone. If you want to know more about Jack, you can find all of his socials, which are...
at Jack Guinness.
And his book, The Queer Bible, is available in paperback. But if you want to be posh, buy the hardback. It's better for him.
Thank you, Matt.
You've been listening to I Am Prime Minister, hosted by me, Matt Richardson, and produced by Matt Needer. If you've enjoyed the show, forward it to a friend, leave us a 5-star rating or review, or write to your MP. I Am Prime Minister is a Wild Ambitions production.